you just got to relax, man. I mean, things are not going to work out as you want them to all the time. And each time that things don't work out in the way that we want them to is an invitation and opportunity to surrender yet again, because life is not linear. Life is not this obvious y equals mx plus b equation. There's all these variables, and we're dealing with the different energies happening within us and those around us, and how all of that intermixes and connects. And a lot of things are out of our control. They're out of our hands. And the more that we try to cling and attach to expected outcomes, the more frustrated and irritated and anxious and worried we're going to be. And so in those moments that plans don't go according to plan, is a moment to see life as not so serious. It is just not as serious as we ironically hope it to be. It's a lot more playful. It's a lot more easy. Things happen. Sometimes things don't happen. Sometimes you're doing things and they get interrupted. Sometimes you have something that you really want to do or to say or communicate in a YouTube video, and it doesn't come together like you thought it was going to. Preaching to myself. But in those moments, we relax, we surrender, because life is not about controlling everything all the time. It's about functioning and participating with everything that's happening. And sometimes the natural flow and the natural states that are happening within us and around us, we just have to flow with it. And whenever we try to go against it, that's that sensation of friction. That friction then creates a frustration and an annoyance and an irritation. And if we continue to try to swim against the stream of consciousness that is happening, we will find ourselves worn out and frustrated and holding on to things on the banks, trying to keep our place and position. Let go, man. Flow with what is. Surrender to the natural order of the universe that is expressing itself in this moment in time. And it doesn't always go according to our plan. But then we must ask the question, who made that plan in the first place? Oh, the beloved ego. The ego had some scheming plan the whole time. Now, instead of talking some mad shit on the ego right now, like most people do in spirituality, we're going to extend love and compassion and care to the ego. Because all that the ego is trying to do by attaching itself to these preferred ideas and outcomes and plans and these expectations and assumptions of how life should be or how we should be, those are all just really cries of brokenness, cries of fragmentation, cries of pain and hurt. And a lot of times we try to just eliminate that. We want to, quote, kill our ego. It's impossible. You're a human being. Your ego is how you interface on the physical plane of reality. You're never going to kill it. It's a part of you. And it's the part of you that is often crying out for something that it desperately needs, thinking that it can get it by having the plan go perfectly or having the success attained in the way that it predicts and projects success to be, being the person The it wants to be to display some level of prominence or status. But all of those things are just manifestations of separation and brokenness, the illusion of that. Because deep, deep down within, there is no separation. There is no fragmentation. But on the surface level of being and experiencing life and interfacing with life and engaging all of the things that we're here to do, and all of the relationships that we have, and all of the projects and work that we have to do here in the world, all of the surface level of reality, there can be massive chasms of brokenness. And we try to mend those, and that's what the ego is trying to do by attaching itself to these projected plans and ideas that don't go according to plan, and the ego doesn't know what to do. So it becomes frustrated and irritated, and friction happens because that chasm was not filled with the weird sort of egoic putty to fill it. But we go deeper down within to the core, and we extend love and compassion to that frantic ego that's scrambling to try to put together and make sense of its brokenness. And those pieces and parts of ourself that irritate us and frustrate us, we begin to include them, include him or her or they or them into who you are. And when you accept that screaming, frantic ego who's irritated and frustrated about their plans not going the way they wanted them to, or whatever the slew of things I just said aren't coming together, you don't get irritated at that part of you or then get self-sabotagey about it. That's my vice. You welcome that ego with love and compassion, and you integrate that ego into your being, and you begin to see and invite it to see its proper place in your life. You thank the ego, hey, appreciate you really wanting to do great things in the world. That's great ambition, ego. Really appreciate that. But we don't need the accomplishment of those things to be whole, ego. And then even your ego can take a sigh of relief. And you rest down into the core. And that frantic, scrambling ego starts to calm down a little bit. And then you're able to laugh again about just how simple it all is and just how not serious everything is, because we bought into this lie of seriousness and success and the way things should be. And if they're not that way, it's a big problem. No, it's not. No, it's not. We should do things with sincerity and earnestly give of ourselves in the best ways that we can. Our talents, our gifts, our skills, our abilities, our wisdom, our presence. We should give of those things. But we should never take them too seriously. I love that nuance that Alan Watts makes between seriously and sincerely. Nothing should be that serious, but we should do everything sincerely. And so even as the few iterations of my efforts to sit down and record a video this week didn't quite work out, and the one that was working out well, full disclosure, my wife walks in the door. My kids are at school, but my wife walks in and interrupts, and it's like, my ego could be like, oh, I'm really in a flow here, sharing. And I could be offended. But instead, welcome home, sweetheart. Apparently, that's not what wanted to come through to the community. And that's okay. Because I'm not here to try to fill anything within me. I really am here to try to help us realize who we are deep down in there beneath all of the fragmentation and see our inner wholeness, and help us all to just simply relax, to let go, and to participate with the natural flow of divinity that is here, that is now, if we have eyes to see and ears to hear, and the heart to participate with all that is. So in conclusion, friends, see everything as an opportunity, an invitation to surrender and to participate. Peace and blessings.